I guess no one ever thought, what would it be like if there were 10,000 pot plants in a room or 100,000?
Yeah.
Guess it's going to be a lot more than someone smoking a single joint.
Here we are back for another episode of Closer Look here across the Village Media Network with Michael Friscolanti. I'm Scott Sexsmith, and tonight on the program, it's pot in Pelham.
Yeah, this is a wild story. This has been going on for years and years in the town of Pelham, which is part of Niagara Region. Our site, Pelham Today.
Yes.
Previously, the Voice of Pelham has been covering this for a long time. Basically, it stinks there, Scott. There is since 2015 when they legalized cannabis, the federal government legalized cannabis. There's been tons of production facilities across the country that have kind of blossomed. Pardon the pun. And
I got that.
In Pelham, there's kind of two big producers, and there's been hundreds and hundreds of complaints from residents about the odor in the community, right? And so there's been some bylaws enacted, heavy fines levied. There's been some court battles, some Ontario Land Tribunal fights. So it's been an ongoing legal saga for the last many years, to say. And this kind of hit ahead this week where there was a hearing at the OLT. There's a court hearing coming up in September about this. And so we kind of wanted to dig a little deeper into what's actually been going on there. So we've invited David Cribbs. He's the Chief Administrative Officer of the Town of Pelham, a very well-spoken guy. He's going to come on and give us a bit of a history lesson. We have reached out to the companies involved. Our news site has, and they haven't had any comments. So they haven't commented on this ongoing legal issue. But it's fascinating, right? Because the key issue here is whether a municipality has the legal authority to deal with odors.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you were talking about there's, the Leamington, for example, with the ketchup facility over there.
Heinz. I don't know if that factory is still there, but I remember as a kid driving there. It's like, my God, what is that odor?
And as we've learned, there's not a lot, if any, rules or sort of case law that has municipalities actually trying to say, okay,
exactly,
we're going to institute these bylaws to fight odors in this community because of whatever it is, whether it's weed or tomatoes, ketchup, whatever it is. So there's kind of like this kind of a precedent-setting case in the town of Pelham, and it's something that's been going on. So there's kind of the interesting legal aspect of it, but just also the fact that this has caused a lot of grief for a lot of people in that community. And so we're going to learn a lot more about it today.
All right, David Cribbs on Closer Look. Pleased to be joined tonight on Closer Look by David Cribbs, the CAO of the Town of Pelham. David, thanks for joining us tonight. Good to see you.
Good evening, gentlemen.
All right, let's get right to it. For 6 years, Pelham has had a bit of an odor problem. What is going on?
Well, I'm afraid it's been more than 6 years. I've been here 6 years, and it predated me. Well, what really happened, if you go back in time, is, of course, federal government legalized recreational cannabis, and they also created a path for lawful production of cannabis, both for a recreational market and a medical market. When they did that, I don't think anyone in the federal government understood what it actually takes to grow cannabis, or that there would be implications. And so they sort of put the rules in really quickly, and no one anywhere across this country, any municipality in any province, was ready for what they did and the speed at which they did it. So what you saw writ large were a lot of greenhouses that were designed to grow tomatoes, strawberries, cucumbers, etc., transformed over to cannabis production. And in and of itself, that might not be problematic, but of course, strawberries, cucumbers, etc., when you have to vent, don't create odors or don't allow the escape of odors that are that many people find objectionable. Mm-hmm. So you went from it not being a problem living next to a greenhouse that grew strawberries to all of a sudden it being problematic to live next to a greenhouse that grows cannabis.
All right, David. So how bad of an odor are we talking about here? Obviously, you've smelled it.
I have many times and oft. What a number of our residents have said at a number of the open houses over the years is there are days when you have to have all your windows closed and you really can't, and it's of an order or magnitude. You really can't enjoy your property outside, and for some, unfortunately, if you're not fast enough, you've got the odor inside as well. So that's I've heard so many people say that, and of course I've driven I've experienced the odor myself, that I have no doubt that to be true.
So how many complaints are we talking from residents, David? Hundreds, more? What's the number?
Well, in fact, the numbers have changed over the years. We've certainly had years in excess of 100 complaints and other years with under 100 complaints. The 6 years I've been here, we've never had, I don't think perhaps there's been a month somewhere where there wasn't a complaint, but for particularly bad odor events, it's certainly possible to get a dozen or so, without hyperbole, literally hundreds over the years. And those are the people who are prepared and willing to put in the time to put in a formal complaint. I think many people, as my life experience is that most people will be bothered by something but still not formally complain. Canadians are fairly polite, and it's not so different in Pelham.
Or stoned.
You don't even have to say a word, David. Sometimes less is more. Okay, so what are the producers saying about the complaints, and how many producers are there in Pelham?
Well, so another interesting question. I can't tell you how many, because I don't know, not because I'm hiding something, but understand that on the small level, on a micro level, it's very easy to get a medical license to grow for a relative or a neighbor or a friend, someone who's not capable of growing the product for themselves, but you are allowed to grow cannabis for your own use, particularly if you have a medical prescription. So on that level, I don't know how to answer the question. On the larger level, historically, there have been 3. At the moment, there are 2 active producers in Pelham, both of which are in converted greenhouses, as we discussed earlier.
Thanks, David. So how did the town respond? Was there a bylaw created with some fines as an option? How did you respond?
Well, I don't know how much history you want. The first, when a problem was realized, and so in 2018, into 2019, the town passed an interim control bylaw, which is sort of like a sledgehammer we have in the planning world to say, just stop doing this thing, don't do this thing, no more of this thing. We're going to study it and figure this out. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what that does. And from that point onwards, we've had some form, and that gave us the time to start studying. I joined the town in 2019. There were already planners and lawyers working on behalf of the town on this issue. And as well as a number of residents who formed an expert advisory committee to the municipality to try to help us deal with something that really, by default, most municipalities had no idea how to address. So today we have an odor nuisance bylaw that council passed on November, odor management bylaws, its official name. And they passed out on November 20th of 24. That is being challenged by one of the 2 cannabis producers in the court system.
Yes. And have you levied fines under that bylaw?
We have indeed.
Yes.
7 times that I'm aware of, and it's certainly possible that number is higher. I don't ask for a daily update, sort of get it monthly.
Okay.
But to my knowledge, 7 times since November 20th, we've laid charges under that bylaw.
We talking tens of thousands of dollars worth of fines?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And is that the issue? Is one of the companies challenging the legality of that bylaw? So
we have over both my time here and predating my time here, we've had multiple different legal cases around cannabis. At the moment, there are 2 substantive, I would describe as 2 substantive ones.
Okay.
One is in the court system. That is where Redecan or Tilray, its corporate parent, which is a stock market traded corporation, I might note, they are challenging the validity of the bylaw, both the town's capacity to pass the bylaw and or alleging that it was passed in bad faith.
Okay.
So that's one
That's
case.
in court. That's the court challenge.
That's in court.
Okay.
That's Superior Court of Justice in Welland, Ontario.
Okay.
The other is in front of the Ontario Land Tribunal, and that also involves Redecan and or its parent company, Tilray. And that has to do with land use and the facility specifically. And there are sort of 3 issues between the parties, and the parties have come to a meeting of the minds on 2/3 of that. And there's one outstanding issue, which may result in a hearing now early next year a hearing on its merits.
Okay.
David, how rare is it, like in a case like this, for a local business to be attacking the validity of a municipal bylaw?
So to out myself, I started my career as an in-house municipal lawyer at the City of London back in 2003, at the risk of sounding middle-aged or more than that.
We're there too. Don't
Welcome
worry,
to
David.
the club, brother.
Yeah, it's okay.
So back in those days, I mean, my very first day as a municipal employee was in a hearing run by the City of London as against the Hells Angels and the licensing of an adult entertainment facility. That was like my first. I didn't even know where the
Welcome
pencils
to the job.
were kept. Like, go along with the more senior lawyer and just listen with wide eyes and think this is amazing.
Here's your pass key. The washroom's really down the hall on the left.
But in my time as an in-house municipal lawyer, I have personally been involved with and or seen firsthand municipal challenges from cab companies, from landlords for licensing student rentals, in the adult entertainment industry, both body rub parlors and strip clubs. So that's all been part of my life experience. That being said, for the last decade, this is the only industry and issue with which I have any personal experience over the last 10 years. So it's become far less common. I think we've all sort of figured out what powers municipalities do or don't have pursuant to the Municipal Act. And most of society understands, what's in our lane and what we can do. So this is nowadays, this is relatively uncommon.
Is part of the challenge too, David, that there's not a lot of municipalities that are trying to regulate odor in their communities?
So, sometimes it's great to be first. You're the progressive, you're making things up as you go along. You're doing, and it's wonderful to be a trailblazer. And other days, you just really wish someone else had beat you to it. And then, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, on this one, to our knowledge, and we had both internal and external legal counsel advising us, and we're sure we're the first. So, Pelham incurred more than $300,000 in legal costs getting itself to this point, and we still have 2 hearings before 2 different bodies on 2 sets of issues. Couldn't copy and paste from anyone else. We had to figure it out as we were going along.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be a heck of a lot easier if there'd been some case law on this where you could find other municipalities that were dealing with odor issues and how they handled it.
In fairness, we were really lucky to have a number of residents with considerable expertise in engineering, in science, and of course in Pelham, there are a lot of people who know how to grow things, right? Mm-hmm. So we actually had really good advice from some of our residents on how to sort of put together something that was reasonably justifiable and had a good evidentiary basis upon which to proceed. So we just happen to be fortunate as a community to have access to people who are prepared to volunteer their time and to try to help us find a way to address the issues. So we also had an advisory committee of residents who were really involved, and that was really something.
It sounds like from what I've read, you've been able to resolve some of the issues. There's kind of 3 big issues with these plants that are producing the cannabis. 2 out of 3 issues resolved. Is that accurate?
I mean, it's accurate, but we're also planning to go to a contested hearing in January. So have we resolved anything? Yeah.
So, but what I'm asking is what are the issues you have been able to tick off the list, and what's the big one that's outstanding?
So the ones that are ticked off are, they all relate. You can't really talk about one without the other. But fundamentally, they all come down to in this case, the single company, the case is dismissed as against the other 2, or settled as against the other 2. So with respect to Redican's operations, it all comes down to odor management, and what the company would do if or when there's a future odor incident. And that's the outstanding issue, where both parties have some engineering and science basis in what they're trying to propose. And we haven't managed to come to any sort of meeting of the minds there as yet, unfortunately, and perhaps we shall. And if not, there'll be a hearing on its merits in January, and we'll get the OLT will tell us what's most appropriate.
David, is it fair to say that quality of life has been diminished?
Well, I think that's, the law talks about quiet enjoyment of land, and that's because historically nuisance bylaws really had to do usually with sound. It's usually, loud rock concerts at night and that sort of thing.
Right.
But it applies equally to odor. And really, every person's home is their castle, and land use conflict is going to happen, particularly as density goes up. But fundamentally, I think everyone has the right to the quiet enjoyment, or in this case, odor-free enjoyment of their land within reason.
Mm-hmm. Is there one story in particular that sticks out from a resident that really, I don't want to say breaks your heart, but really sticks out in terms of how this has impacted a particular person in town?
Unless you're somehow totally lacking in empathy, when you have people walk up to a mic or who aren't prepared to walk up to a mic, but just sort of take you aside and they're crying, and they feel like this issue is utterly ruining the quality of their life. We've heard people, have family reunions and family gatherings or celebrating, like 80th birthday kind of things, and just the whole family gathering entirely ruined, or having to be indoors and not enough space. Just really loss of enjoyment of some of the good things in life that our residents deserve.
David, there's a court date coming up September the 5th, I believe. What's happening there?
So that's specific. That's in Superior Court. Mm-hmm. That's the attack on the integrity and the validity of the bylaw.
Got it.
So that's probably the more aggressive of the two. The matter before the Ontario Land Tribunal at the end of the day is, at this point, fundamentally a technical dispute, and most of the part, like, it's fairly clear, what the end result, or it's reasonably clear what the end result might be. Mm. With respect to the attack on the validity of the bylaw, that's an attempted knockout punch, but also all of the onus is on the party alleging, in this case the cannabis company, has to somehow demonstrate that in fact there was bad faith. And all I can tell you is that from 6+ years of sitting in this chair, I could testify that I've heard from dozens and dozens and dozens, and probably into the hundreds of residents who are negatively impacted, for whom this is a really serious, heartfelt issue from which they're suffering. And I can't even conceive how that gets to bad faith. What else is a local government, in this case a town council, to do other than to try to find a way forward, to find a way to coexist, but also to ameliorate suffering? Mm-hmm. I mean, surely that's an appropriate thing for a local town council to do.
Mm-hmm. You sound like a very pragmatic person. This is maybe a dumb question then, but how confident are you that the town will win these cases in the end?
One, I like our legal advice. Two, we went and canvassed, and the cannabis companies also had an opportunity to make submissions. Mm-hmm. Three, we put a lot of time and thought. There were planners, there were lawyers. We had a lot of expertise go into this. We kicked the tires hard, and this isn't a bylaw that's passed with a goal of shutting down two lawful businesses that provide considerable employment in the town. Mm-hmm. The sole goal is to stop the stench, the odor, from leaving the building. We would love both of these employers to flourish. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are, as I understand, well-paying jobs. One of these two is stock market traded. Mm-hmm. Like they should be good contributing members to the community, but there's this unfortunate side effect of the production. And the worst part is, to my knowledge and in my experience, if you purpose build a building for this industry, there are no problems. Mm-hmm. They have proper odor containment, and then you can be a good neighbor and we can all go on and coexist. Mm-hmm. The problems are always in these facilities that have been changed over. And that all happened years ago when, respectfully to Ottawa, a thoughtless government couldn't be bothered to ask people who knew something about growing plants, mm-hmm. what, if anything, I guess no one ever thought, what would it be like if there were 10,000 pot plants in a room, or 100,000? Yep. Guess it's going to be a lot more than someone smoking a single joint, mm-hmm. right? Like no one ever thought of the implications of that. And communities across the country are suffering. Pelham just had the good or bad luck to be first off the mark with respect to the legal
You're
case.
leading the way, as they say.
That's right. Certainly not as good as 10,000 strawberry plants.
No.
David, before we... Good stuff. There's David Cripps, the CAO from the Town of Pelham. David, good to see you tonight. Appreciate your time.
Be very well, gentlemen. Cheers.
All right, I'm not going to lie. I kind of chuckled when David said blazing a trail.
Yes, I saw you biting your lip.
Tell you, Pelham is the place to be on 420.
Or not the place to be.
He may not think so,
Yeah,
but
yeah, one or the other.
of course we say that in jest.
It's fascinating, though, right? This issue of odor in the community, right?
Yeah.
Derek mentioned it, too. Like, well, what about farmers they might not
Manure.
bring out the best smells
Yeah.
that are going on there, right?
Cigarette smoke, cigars.
Yeah.
Where do you draw that line?
Yeah. And you could see, I think David was pretty humble about it, but there's probably got to be some excitement, too, that you are blazing that trail. You're trying to figure out, how do we deal with this problem that's obviously, and he was pretty passionate about how this has impacted
Very
the
much
people
so.
in that community. And it's an issue that you can be sure that other municipalities are watching, because they probably have other issues with odor control from other things going on in their community, and they're not sure what to do either. So however this case turns out in the courts, what Preston has said is going to be something they can lean on as well.
Absolutely. All right, good stuff. Tomorrow night on the program, looking forward to this one. Olympic champion, now an author, Jennifer Jones.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Jennifer is one of the great's curlers who ever lived, and arguably made the greatest curling shot ever made.
Certainly.
We'll talk about that tomorrow night. But she's put out a new book. What's it called again?
It is called Rockstar, My Life on and Off the Ice.
Yeah, which she stole your idea for your autobiography. I know that was going to be the title of yours.
I don't want to go out on a limb here. She's going to sell a few more.
She might. Well,
I'm just saying.
You made a couple great shots.
Yeah.
So
I've missed many more, trust me.
Exactly.
All right, Closer Look podcast.ca is our brand new website on YouTube. Give us a follow, subscribe, if you will, at Closer Look Podcast. And, of course, you can reach out by email 24/7, closerlook@villagemedia.ca. Jen Jones, tomorrow night on Closer Look. Going to be a great episode. For Michael Friscolanti, our editor-in-chief, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow night at 7, right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.